All right, guys, welcome to our Monday Night Empower Hour, where we come here every single Monday night at 7 o'clock Eastern. As an industry as a whole, it's open to everybody in home business, entrepreneurship, online marketing, wherever you might be or whatever you might need, you're going to find it here. We do mindset training and have incredible guests on, and it's a place you can feel comfortable to come and share and learn, and just it's a safe place for all of us in the industry. But today we have such an awesome guest, guys. Frazer Brooks is here with us, and I'm excited. The energy you guys are going to feel in this call is going to be amazing. You've seen him on the stages everywhere, but I'm going to hand it over to Peg Tucker to do the formal intro so we can get started here tonight.
So thank you, Angel. I am so excited to have Frazer on because, they say when he's had such an enormous impact in my business. And Frazer, that, they say when the student is ready, the teacher will come. And when I started my business, I was struggling. I was an introvert. Social media seemed completely overwhelming, and I was looking for leadership. I wasn't working with these guys. I was looking for help. And I saw you on a GoPro event, and you were doing the learn action where you went around in a circle. You got to take a step and to do the learning, do the action. And I heard you talk about being an introvert and how you were a second generation in network marketing. You grew up, every second of your life you're around network marketing. So you've seen what it can do for people and how it can change lives the way it changed your family's life, right? So, and then you're talking about being an introvert. I was like, okay, I can do this. And then I started going to your events, and I have to say to everyone who's considering going to a Frazer event, the first 30, if it's a 3-day event, in the first 30 minutes I was like, okay, tickets paid for already. It's the value is insane that you provide. So I got into your inner circle. I got to, at that way back at that time, I got to have a one-on-one call with you, which was really, really, really cool. So yeah, if you told me 5 years ago that I'd be interviewing you, I'd be like, yeah, no way, no way. So
No,
really, really excited. So Frazer, I'd love for you to talk about um, tell us a little bit about you, and then I wanted you to talk about how someone coming into network marketing right now, how social media can impact them, and how they can build rather quickly on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, first and foremost, thanks for having me. I'm super. You guys who are watching this have no idea how long it's taken us to get this call tied down. I think it's taken like 4.5 years. No, it has been some time. So I just want to give a massive shout out to Peg for her relentless and professional follow up. Each and every single one of you can learn a lot from her with her follow-up skills. So Peg, it was always a pleasure getting your follow-up messages, and I'm so happy that we've been able to make this happen. So my real quick story, I can talk 3 days on my story, and I believe that is the pinnacle of public speaking, is being able to tell your story over a long period of time with all the lessons along the way. But the kind of the basics of my story is my network marketing career started in 1987, but I wasn't born until 1988. Mom and dad were so broke they couldn't afford to pay attention. My dad was just worried about how to make money. My mom was worried about how she was gonna raise her first child with like no money, no nothing. My dad come across a newspaper advertisement that said MLM, MLM, MLM. I drive an Aston Martin, you can too. This is in 1987, so he thought MLM stood for Make Love Monthly. That's what he thought it stood for. So Make Love Monthly, Make Love Monthly, Make Love Monthly. He calls the guy. The guy invites him to a presentation about network marketing. My dad was like, network marketing, is it to do with computers? Like, I don't know. I was in the room at that first presentation. And my dad says it was my first memory because he elbowed me in the head, like when he was elbowing my mom in like the stomach, right? And said, if they can do it, so can I. And the first thing that I learned from my story, even before I wasn't born, was that there are two emotions that every single person has to have. The number one, the most important emotion, is if they can do it, so can I. And the second one is enough is enough. People usually join through desperation or inspiration. People who have the desperation is it's enough is enough. The people who have the inspiration or the desperation is if they can do it, why can't I? Or if they can do it, so can I. Or he can do it, so can I. So I ended up growing up around the industry of network marketing. If you cut my wrists, blood doesn't come out. Network marketing does. My entire life is network marketing. My mum and dad have made millions and millions and millions in network marketing. I think 15, 16 million at this stage. It's all my dad loves to talk about. It's all my mum kind of has to talk about. So it's been an interesting game. But and when I was 18, I said no. I said no for 4 years. My dad followed up with me every 3 months for 4 years, 16 follow-ups. And here was the second lesson that I learned, because I said to my dad, I said, Dad, why did you keep following up with me even though I was a hard no? And he said, Frazer, how can I tell the universe that I believe in this with every single cell in my being when I'm not telling my son to join this flipping business? And I was like, wow, the level of certainty you have for that. And he said, well, like if the universe believes you deserve it, then the universe will serve it. And it's always stuck with me. So I ended up saying yes because I wanted to build on social media. And here's why. I saw that there was a potential in 2009 that people could start to speak to strangers. And I established very early on in my career that network marketing is a stranger's business. There are more people that you don't know than you do know. And network marketing summed up is turning strangers to friends, friends to family. Like that's the pipeline. That's the simplicity. You find someone, you build a relationship, and then you see if they want to join your family. Like that's all it is. And I realized that I could build the business super fast on social media, because when everyone else was having one presentation a week, I could have 5 a day. When everyone else was speaking to 2 people a week, I could speak to 20 people a day. When everyone else was having to put their best suit on and book a meeting room and fill it with 20 people, I could do a Skype call. This was back in the days of Skype, for those of you who remember, right? I could do a Skype call with 20 people and it would cost me nothing. And I could do it whilst my dad drives to the in-person meeting. And over time, I realized, hang on a minute. I figured it out. I thought social media is fast and weak, but in person or offline, it's slow and strong. So I kind of drew 2 circles overlapping, and I put social media is fast and weak. Offline is slow and strong. So if I combine the 2, I'm going to be able to bring people in fast. I'm going to get them in a room to build fast and strong. And that's what I did. So I ended up building 300,000 customers in 5 years. We built teams in, I think, 25, like significant teams in 25 to 30 different countries. I met the woman of my dream, my wife and the mother of my daughter, and with another daughter on the way. I met her at an event in the middle of Moscow, of all places. And so when it comes to social media, take it seriously, but understand that it's putting the fun into the fundamentals. The offline old school ways are still super important. You cannot ignore them. Social media is just the best way to generate leads, generate conversations, get more presentations. All right. Just like how Tinder is how the majority of people are meeting their future partners. It's just like social media is where the people are meeting their future team members. So you've just got to combine them. And if you are open to that, you win. If you're closed to that, you kind of get found out eventually. So yeah.
Well,
Let me just go ahead, Angel.
We know some people who are using Tinder to build their network marketing business.
Smart.
Well, you know what's, Angel, you beat me to it, because he talked about how he launched in 25, 30 different countries, met his wife. So now it's full circle back to MLM, which is Make Love Monthly. I think you utilize network marketing.
It's Make Love Mondays now.
Maybe in the beginning it was a little bit more frequent than that. I loved a couple of things I want to point out before. Like you talked about, one of the things, if I'm reading between the lines correctly, that, dad, all he talked about was network marketing, and mom, all she had to talk about was network marketing. And that may be something that happens a lot with couples in network marketing, right? Where one person is really the leader in it, and the other person will say, all right, I guess so. Do you want to comment on that a little bit? And then, wait, hold on a second, 5 a day, 20 a day. I love the idea of cold market. I'm not I've never seen anyone So I want you to focus on cold market a little bit and talk a little bit about the spouse syndrome. But you kind of I kind of lost my train of thought. But to make sure that you when you're working with people on the cold market, I've never seen anybody bring their plumber up on stage and say, our new number one earner is my plumber who I made on my original warm market list, right? I've never seen it. I've never seen the high school cheerleader bring up the high school football coach or the high school football, captain onto stage and say, look, what happened, right? But you have seen a cold market person where I've never known Peg or Angel before network marketing. So a little bit of that, because I'm not anti warm market, but I say learn your skills by burning your friends and then really get good at cold market.
So similar way that what you say there is, I believe that the money's not in the list, but the money's made in the skills that you create from going through the list. So like the list is your apprenticeship. How it was sold to me is the pirates, when they want to try and find the treasure, they have a physical treasure map. Your treasure map is your list. And just like the pirates, the X marks the spot. The more X's you can get on your list, the more money you're going to make, because no builds character, character builds big business. So what I found is I said to my dad, like, what's your biggest fear? He said, honestly, it's a network marketing fear. And I was like, of course it is. He said, my biggest fear is that I'm at an event and they announce the new top income earner who makes $1 million a week, walks across the stage, and I go, I know him.
Right.
Oh no. Oh no. He said, that's my biggest fear. And when it comes to cold market, I believe there's 4 markets. There's freezing cold, warm, hot, like boiling hot. So freezing cold, just to define these for every single one of you, because I want you to understand the power of cold market here, is freezing cold is I don't know Paul and Paul does not know me, right? We don't know each other. We don't come across each other. That's a freezing cold contact. Cold is Paul knows me, I don't know Paul, or I know Paul, Paul doesn't know me. Your chances of your social media following, highly likely that that's the case. You might have 1,000 followers. They all know you because they follow you, but you have no idea who they are because you don't follow them back, right? Maybe similar on Facebook. Warm is then I know Paul, Paul knows me. That's warm. And then boiling hot is I know Paul, Paul knows me, but we've also got a selfie together. We have a story together. We went for dinner together. I just know something about Paul that if I was to contact him, I'd be like, hey, Paul, did you see the score last night of the football? Right? Like we would have something to talk about. So the reality is every magical relationship that you can think about, mainly the one that made you as a human being, started when 2 freezing cold people, and I'm going to not show my fingers on this one because it can get, it's not a great time to use my fingers in this demonstration. When 2 freezing cold people, one person approaches them, now they know each other, they're warm, eventually boiling hot, and ta-da, you were born. So cold market is the best market. It's just for some reason, people are like afraid of sending messages to people. You've just got to tap a screen on your phone. That's it. If I go to my 94-year-old grandmother and say, oh, I had a really hard day today. Like we call my grandmother Gan. I had a really hard day today, Gan. Like I had to message 27 strangers to see if they'd be open to checking out a product. She would go, when I was your age, I had to run into a bomb shelter because the sirens were going off to say that there were planes above dropping bombs. And you're saying that's hot. That's hard. Oh, you have no idea what hard truly is. So network marketing is not hard. It's very simple, but we complicate it in our head and in our environment. So when it comes to cold market, it's you've just got to connect with new people, grow that list every day. If your list is growing, your business has no limit. If your list is dying, your business has a limit. And I know for a fact, you guys watching and listening to this want an unlimited business. And when it comes to the spouse, my mom and dad very early on just made a decision that what's the alternative? Like, if this does not work, I get a job. And if I get a job, this is our life. Like that. Do we like that? No. Okay. What's the alternative? to go all in and we're going to do it together. If I do it and you support, so supporting is just as good as doing. If you're going to do it and I'm going to support, supporting is just as good as doing. And that was the relationship that they had. And I think the one thing that most people do not do is they're having conversations behind their partner's backs because they think their partners don't agree, but it's because the partner hasn't heard what you've heard. The partner hasn't seen what you've seen. So get your partner to say, hey, listen, just watch one of these calls with the person who I now trust. I know I've only met her for a week and I'm listening to her more than I'm listening to you, but I feel this is something that we could do together. Just please, I want you to just listen to one Zoom call and come to the next event. If you don't feel like it's something you can get behind, then I'll do it behind your back. But I'm doing this with or without you. I'd rather do it with you. And I think that's the best way I've seen couples get over that issue. So yeah.
Such a good point, Fraser. I mean, having that person, having the person who's important to you listen to hear what you've heard. Because they don't understand, and there's a resistance. They don't want to understand sometimes because it's taking you away, right? It's taking your attention away. So yeah, they're bringing them in and making them understand. And supporting is just as good as doing. But such good advice, Angel. I know you have some questions.
I do. I have like a two-part kind of question here. So first of all, you have such a distinctive style and approach to you. You're hilarious. You make it fun. The things that just come out of your mouth, I'm like, it is easy. Why do we make it so hard in our head? Like, it's just everything I've been writing down. It's like, oh my goodness, it's stuff we know, but you just say it in a way where it's like you're smacking us on the head, but in a really nice, funny way. So you have a different approach, this different way of training. What made you break that mold? And then my second part to it, because I know you said you grew up listening to Jim Rohn and your dad was playing it and you'd be like, oh my gosh, turn it off. My kids were like that, right? They both were like, it was an Eric Worre, Ray Higdon constantly, everything was network marketing nonstop from the second they woke up until they went to bed. But now being a single mom, they correct me now sometimes, right? So my daughter's just about to turn 18, so she's got her spot already and I'm getting her going. What do you think are the qualities for the next generation coming into this? Because friends, they don't want the traditional 9 to 5. They don't want, they want to be entrepreneurs, but they want it handed to them, right? So what do you think are the qualities that are going to get these kids to really sustain what you've gone through? You know, starting at 18 and being able to get going yourself. What do you see as they're going to need?
Yeah, so I'll start with why I maybe have my own unique style or whatever. So when I was 7 years old, my dad gave me a piece of paper and a crayon. And he said, I want you to make a note of the name of the speaker and give a score out of 10. So I was at the front of the room as a 7-year-old kid. I had my piece of paper and a crayon and I wrote down John, 7, Sarah, 4, Bill, 8. And on the car ride home, as we would travel back home, my dad would say, okay, get your piece of paper out. What was the name of the first speaker? John. And what score did you give? 7. And Sarah, what score did you give? 4. And Mary, what score did you give? 8. And then he would ask me why. And I would say, I just remember that one being boring. That one was funny. That one was boring. And as I got older, I had to write the full name, the point of the talk, a score, and a reason why. And I've done that now to nearly 2,500 people over my lifetime. And I know exactly what a 10 out of 10 is. Exactly what they do, how they walk, how they talk, how they use their voice, how they use their body, how they use the stage, what they wear, what they sound like, the pitch of their voice, blah, blah, blah. Tony Robbins says that all communication is 7% words and the rest is like how you use your body and how you use your tone and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So I guess because I have that insight, maybe I should release the notes that I've got on that because it's kind of interesting.
I'm going to tell you, I hate to interrupt, but that is probably the best speaker advice I've ever received or ever gotten. And I hope the people listening to this realize how valuable that is. And yes, that's a book in itself. Absolutely release it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you know what the commonality of the 9s and the 10s, and 10s are very rare. Like 10s are like, I think maybe there's been like 2 or 3 10s. Jim Rohn was a 10 just because he gets bonus points for being Jim Rohn. Like, and Les Brown was a 10 because it's just Les Brown. But outside of those two, I couldn't. Zig Ziglar was another 10. Okay, sorry Zig, right? And because he had a Z in his name, like me, like bonus points. So like those 3 were the 10s that I really, really remember. I don't like swearing. So anyone who swears straight away gets like I use swear words with my family and my friends and stuff, but on stage I don't like it. So there's no 10s with the swearing. But what I noticed was the high scores were always funny. So what I started to do over the last 8 to 10 years, probably more like 10 years, 10, 11 years, is I started to study comedians. So I would watch recently Netflix or YouTube, or I'd go to comedy clubs and I'd have my notepad and paper like it was Jim Rohn speaking. And I would just make, that was funny, but why? Why was it funny? It wasn't the joke necessarily. It's because the way people are looking to their partners because they can relate. Okay, relatability, that's one. Or like the way they use their voice, or they got characters involved. And instead of saying like, hey, this is Bob saying this and this is Mary saying this, they kind of used their body to demonstrate it. And the storytelling was like, bam, bam, bam. So I started to study comedians, and I guess that's what created part of my style. I also really, really, really don't like complicated things. Like I really don't. And one of my things, it's not about the number of books you read, but the number of times you read one book. Like I'm big on that. Read Think and Grow Rich 1,000 times instead of reading one book, instead of reading 1,000 books once. And the goal of personal development is to finish your mentor's sentences, because we live in a world now where people are going onto YouTube or ChatGPT or Google and they're typing in 2 of the most dangerous words that is one of the reasons why people aren't getting the success that they want. And that is how to. They go, how to. And instead of focusing on the how, they need to start focusing on the who. Like, who has got the results that they want? Who has got the life that they want? And then just every single thing they say, do it well, and then you're going to hear new things. And the moment you're going to hear the same thing over and over again, and the moment that you can finish that person's sentence, that's the moment that you've completed that personal development journey. And then it's just a matter of doing. That's why I always say, no, learn the basics, do the basics. 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 There's only 2 things. You go to McDonald's, you order, you get. You go to Apple, you order, you get. You go to Google, you type, you search, you get. So network marketing is, you know the basics, you do the basics. That's it. Now, when it comes to attributes of like the future, let's say the future generation, and to be honest, it doesn't matter if someone joins in there 65, 55, 45, 35, 25, 18. These are the 2 things, and I'm going to draw it. Are you guys, is this an audio only thing or a visual thing as well?
No, we could see you. We could definitely see
you. All
right,
cool. I didn't know if they could, the guys at home could.
Oh, yeah, they will be.
All right. So this is what you're looking for. Okay. So the up, down, y-axis is ambition, right? Is ambition. So if you've got a lot of ambition, you're high. If you've got no ambition, you're low. The second axis, the x-axis, I'm just going to put WE. That stands for work ethic, right? So this side, we've got lazy. Okay. There's only 2 things. If someone is ambitious and prepared to do the frickin' work, this is where the rock stars are. The people who you can change their life a lot are the people who work hard but have no ambition, because they just believe that you go to work 9 to 5, you work your ass off, you get your paycheck, you come home, you repeat, you pay off your mortgage, you retire at 65 to 70, then you go travel as much of the world as you can and realize you don't want to travel the world, you just want to be with your grandkids and. Right? So these people who are prepared to do the work, and you can bring them to an event, get them to listen to Jim Rohn, get them to listen to Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, all the greats to change their mindset. These are great. The people who almost never join network marketing are these guys. the people who are lazy and they have no ambition. I don't want to do that. I don't want to make more money. I don't care. And the dangerous people, these are the people you want to be very careful of. They'll join the business because they're ambitious. I'm putting like exclamation marks here. These are the people who go, Angel, 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 Angel. I am going to hit the top of the compensation plan. I'm going to recruit 500 people. Watch me fly. I'm going to win all the awards. And you come off the phone and you're like, yes, I've got one. I'm fired up. Meanwhile, they're like, Xbox, PlayStation, like whatever, right? They tell you their ambitions, but they never prepared to do the work because they're just freaking lazy. So when it comes to the 18-year-olds, 19, 20, 21-year-old, 25-year-old, 30-year-old, 35, 40 years, whatever, doesn't necessarily matter. We're looking for people who are hardworking and or ambitious. We can recruit these people, but we've got to be very, very careful. We look to replace these people, not chase them. Like, they're going to join, they're probably not going to do anything. That's fine. And then these guys are just not going to join anyway. So that's like the visual representation of if you have someone who's 18 and you say, like, are you ambitious? Yes. Do you have good work ethic, solid work ethic? Yes. Okay, well, we can build a monstrous business then. Yeah, that's how I would identify the people.
Good. Oh my goodness, I love this. I'm going to be using this forever now.
Yeah, make it your own. Make it your own.
No, I don't mean repeating. I just mean for myself. Like, when I'm talking to people, right? Where do they fit in? Which quadrant are they in, right?
Yeah.
And so many people waste so much time in that lower left-hand quadrant thinking they're a social worker and not a network marketer, where we're going to change this person's life and change their way of thinking, right?
Yeah.
It's not the social work business. Okay, Peg, you raised your hand, but no, that's a lesson you learned early on. You know, that
guilty.
Stop with the social work right now. Be selfish until you're stable enough and making enough money and building an organization that you have the skills. And you want to take on a social work project once a year, you can, but it's unfortunate. But, you know, some people are where they are because of where they want to be.
Yeah, 100%. What's that saying? You know, professionals sort, amateurs convince, professionals sort, or whatever. And it's true, right? And it's there's a lot of people out there who are hardworking people. They just have no idea that they can think big, and that's the power of personal development. You know, and then there's very, very, very small number, the queens, the kings, and the aces in the pack of cards who have the ambition and the work ethic. Very small number. And then the rest of them are just, they're there to try and pull you down. It's the devil in disguise.
Another great point you made early on, I think we're seeing that in the U.S. right now. Now, I build, internationally. We build internationally, and you see the differences by different cultures: Korea versus U.S., U.S. versus, the U.K. And when you said enough is enough, and I think we're not at that point yet in the U.S. where it's the enough is hit. The pain has not come greater than network marketing. Are you kidding me? Like, the pain of where they are personally is not exceed. So enough is enough. Can you expound on that a little bit more?
Yeah,
I think the U.S. market is suffering right now because of that. People have a little bit of sense of entitlement.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it is a lot of people are trying to compete instead of complete. It's just one letter makes a whole difference. So for my dad, it was him. In order to make money, he had to rent out the spare rooms of his house, right? So he gets thrown out of his own bathroom by someone. Like, I need to use the toilet, I need to use the shower, get out. And he's like, it's my bathroom, but I can't tell them to do one because they're paying. And he just had that, like, I've had enough of this. So something has to change. For me, it was seeing my mum and dad travel around the world, and the idea that I'm going to have to get a job and probably not going to be able to do what they do. Like, I've had enough of this. So again, there are one of two reasons why people join. It's either through desperation or inspiration. Now, the US is more of an inspiration market, right? Whereas parts of Asia, the UK, where it's so wet and windy and cold, people are desperate to leave. Like, one thing, if someone from the UK has no money, they will find a way to go on holiday. Like, they can't do 365 years in the rain. And if they go on holiday and it rains, oh my, you won't hear the end of it. Like for at least a year, they'll tell you that story. So anyway, so it's really understanding. Like again, it comes down to the prospects. Like, am I going to lead with the inspiration or am I going to lead with the desperation? Because you guys have got stories for all of them. Let me tell you the story of Susan, who is a single mother of 3, and she didn't have enough money to put food on the table. That's a desperation story. Well, let me tell you about my friend Bob. Bob was he had a successful cab driving business, and the financial crash came, and he thought, you know what? Instead of building another business, which would probably crash, I'm going to get involved in network marketing and make thousands of dollars without all the crazy overheads. So it's really kind of matching the stories up to the people. And you're not always going to get it perfect, but again, it's what drives them. Is it the determination, or is it the inspiration or the desperation? It's always one of those two things.
Good.
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead,
love
Peg.
that. I wanted to go back to Frazer. Like in the beginning, you have everyone who's listening sold on social media is the way to build, right? It's the fast way to build. I deal primarily with people that are my age. So sometimes, like in my situation, social media feels a little overwhelming. Can you talk a little bit about like what's the quickest or the most effective way to take someone who feels that way and make them more comfortable about it, other than just getting in there and doing it?
Yeah. So first and foremost, overwhelm is a choice. I always say this to my dad, because what's my dad now? He's 65. He has multiple sclerosis, and he can't learn things so fast. In fact, he can hardly learn new things ever. And he's like, oh, I know social media is the future, after me telling you that it's not going to work on social media for all this time, blah, 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 blah. And he said, I just need to know the basics. Like and he's the kind of guy who says, put me in front of someone and they'll join me. Like, just get them on the call with me and they'll join. So then he was like, Fraze, could you generate the leads? I'll recruit them and we'll figure out how we can kind of partner up. And I was like, no, Dad, you've got to learn the basics yourself. So to start with, it's pick one platform. Don't be worried about Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, MySpace, Twitter, Pinterest, AOL, chat, whatever it might be. Just Facebook is probably going to be the platform that most people are going to start with, because it's the one they're used to. The second thing is then just look to create a piece of content around a certain thing, around a certain topic, once a day, 5 days a week, right? So if you love dogs, just post about dogs, because when you do that, the algorithm will then go, ooh, Peg talks about dogs a lot, so maybe we should suggest her to people who also like dogs, talk about dogs, love dogs, have dogs. The third thing is then join Facebook groups about that interest and look to ask questions, this or that questions. So if it's a dog group, you would say something like, I'm looking, hey guys, super excited to be here. I'm looking to get a new puppy. We're thinking of a chow chow. Yes or no? Right? So it's super easy to answer. People want to give they want to give their answer as well. Then you can reach out to those people and start conversations. So it's create content around a certain thing. Pick a platform, create content around a certain thing, and then find interest-based Facebook groups to ask questions to, and then look to connect with people in the messenger. The key with social media, it doesn't matter which platform, all the money is made in the messenger. But people are so tied up about being the investigator, they're not being the instigator. They're like, why are my comments low? Why are my views low? Why am I not getting people watch my live videos? Why are they not messaging back? Instead of just understanding the person who instigates the conversation wins. So I'm just going to instigate conversations. I'm just going to start conversations. I'm just going to follow up, which you've heard a million times before, right? And the reality of the situation is that if you get 100 network marketers and add up all of their Facebook friends or all of their Instagram followers, and then say, how many of these people have we actually taken through the process? It will be it will be more than 95% of people that have not been approached, because everyone's so tied up on, attraction marketing, right? We've got to attract more people. What about the people you've already got? All right. So again, it is overwhelming because there can be a lot of different ways to do it, but it's finding the song that you all sing. And usually that's pick a platform, create content every day, go into Facebook groups, start conversations. That's it.
I
Yeah.
love that. In fact, I
Awesome.
wish on a network marketing application, I could put a space for getting someone's Facebook login and just say, get out of the way. Let me show you what to do. Right?
Yeah.
Just let me log in as you, and I'll show you. You're going to build a multi-million-dollar business.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That was
That would
really
be
good. That's really good
that would be
stuff.
cool. That would be really cool.
How do you, going from there, and I'm thinking, like, I have, again, 2 questions. It's like, that's my thing today. First of all, bringing people, so you're using social media. The long term, everybody, oh, that's not long term. You're not going to get people that are going to stick. You're not going to find the right people. How do you keep them going and stuff? Like, the people get, then they come up with a problem. Right now it's working, so now there's a problem. So for you, as you built, how did you build like that community, right? That family. You said take them from strangers to friends to family. How did you move that to family? What kind of things did you do with your teams and with the people you were talking to all of a sudden make them stick?
Well, almost one of the first things that we would do is I would get people to sing their favorite nursery rhyme on the count of 3. So I would say 1, 2, 3, and then everyone would start singing different nursery rhymes. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, row, row, row the boat, itsy bitsy spider, Mary had a little lamb. And the whole room was just like, it was just a mess. And I said, okay, on 3, I want you to sing row, row, row the boat. 1, 2, 3, and everyone starts row, row, row the boat. And it's quite funny because you've got a load of adults singing nursery rhymes, right? But the point of this was that I want to teach you the song that you're going to sing over and over and over again, so that if you have to come on stage and sing the song, you don't care what other people think because you know the frickin' words. And everyone's like, okay, great. That's how I would frame it. And then we talked about the basics over and over and over again, because I learned very early on that what gets repeated gets remembered, and what gets remembered gets repeated. So it was just, this is what we talk about. These are the 5 things that we talk about. These are the 7 things that we talk about. These are the 3 things that we talk about. And our goal was to be able to go, I'm going now, but Mary's going to continue. Bye, guys. And Mary's like, am I? Like, really? Mary, you've done this event 27 times. You can do this, because leadership is about 4 things. It's so, again, it's such a complicated topic, but it doesn't need to be. Leadership is about transforming yourself every day. It's about transforming other people every day. And then it's about trusting yourself to do the basics and trusting your team to do the basics. It's those 4 things. It's transform yourself, transform others, trust yourself, and trust others. And if I was to have 1,000 people in a room and I say, make some noise if you're transforming yourself every day, it's way. Make some noise if you're transforming others every day. Way. Make some noise if you trust yourself to do the basics every day. Way. Make some noise if you trust your team to do the basics every day. It's just dead silent. And there are a couple of people at the front of the room who are like, right? It's always the case, and that's the reality. So we got our team to know the basics, know the power of the basics, but also trust them. Like, you know the flipping base. I don't need to do this anymore. You can do it. Oh, but what if I suck and I ruin it? You will ruin it. But then the next time you won't.
Correct.
And that's the whole part of it. So, and when they understood that their upline, their mentor, their leader, their hero, their inspiration was like, wow, he believes in me way more than I believe in myself. That's when the magic happens, because it does not matter how much you believe in yourself. There's always going to be someone who believes in you way more. Usually because you want it for them more than they want it for themselves, right? If only Mary knew. Oh, if she knew the potential, she would be dangerous. And she has no idea. And that's where the magic is. So it's knowing the basics and trying to get out of the way as fast as possible without being lazy by going, oh, you do it, right? It's showing them to do it and having the confidence that they're able to do it. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so good. That's every single day, right? There's one person in your mind where you're going, if only they knew. So
If only they knew.
If only they knew. So what drives Frazer Brooks' passion? What motivates you? What keeps you going and going and going the way you do?
2 words. Jim Rohn. the reason for that, and by the way, guys, for you watching, like I'm kind of like I'm obsessed with Jim Rohn. I always have been. My dad literally like drilled it into me, and I think the reason is because I learned very early on because of my surroundings with my parents and the $1 Million mentors that they used to bring into the home as I was a kid, and I got to know personally, was that legacy is just like the day you die is the day that people stop mentioning your name. And that guy gets his name mentioned around the world hundreds of thousands of times I wish there was like a live clock that just kept a tally of how many times his name was mentioned, right? And it just like, so people could see, wow, his name has been mentioned 72.8 billion times since he passed, right? Which is more than when he was alive. Wow. So I always think about that. And I always think that, wouldn't it be cool that one day people say your name? Not instead, but just as much, even if it was 1% of what people mention with Jim Rohn. And because he used to always teach me, and he didn't teach me personally, he just taught me through his cassette tapes when I was like a 9-year-old kid, is that success is measured by the number of people who mention your name in their success story. And it just keeps me going, because money only solves money problems. And when you have no money problems left, life gets kind of boring. And I know it sounds weird to say that, but if you think it's weird, then you're in the situation where you're thinking about having the money and being able to do. But once that's gone, the contribution, that's what's important. And that guy has contributed more to my life than anyone else outside of my mum and dad. So, and my wife now, she's just about overtaken Jim with the lessons that she's teaching me. And Mia, I'm sure, my first daughter, my second daughter are on the way. I'm sure they will teach me more as well. But that means he's in the top 6. Which is pretty solid. So yeah, that's why.
So good.
He's absolutely been inspiration for so many people. Well, I know you're pressed for time. I want to tell something to the audience too. And when we were doing a little bit of a pre-interview before we started this, and we talked about, hey, what could we help you promote? How could we help you? And you basically said, listen, I'm here for one thing only, is to provide value. And I think you've done that tremendously. But I think people really need to know that about you. You know, you have tons of books and courses and events and everything to do that, but you truly, honestly gave us a lot of value here, a tremendous amount of value. I mean, I have 3 pages of notes already, and I see some of the training that will improve my training. You know, Peg, you go for boring, right? You can do it over and over and over again. I do. You know, I'm going to revise a lot of that because of what I learned from you, and I'm digging out my Jim Rohn cassettes. I'm probably going to have to spend $1,000 to find a cassette player because I don't think they exist anymore. You know. But I'll do that. So I'm going to leave it to the girls to close you out, and if we have any final thoughts. But personally, thank you very, very much. I'm more than impressed. I'm inspired. So thank you so much for the time. I know that your time is valuable.
My pleasure. It's been an honor.
Frazer, I knew this was going to be great, but it was just absolutely off the hook. It was just a masterclass in so many things. So I thank you so much. And I want to give a shout out to your parents, because I pulled this book off the shelf today, and I looked at the dedication. It says, to my mother and father, my heroes, I love you. And what you shared about your mom and your dad today, it's clear why you had quite the parents and quite the example of being a parent. So cheers to that. Thank you so much.
I've got a lot. I don't know how they did it, but I've got a lot to learn from them still. You know, it's crazy.
And congratulations on another one on the way.
Thank you so much. Yeah, duplication, right?
Yeah. Either that or you haven't learned your lesson. One of the two.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
Love Mondays.
Yeah. What day is it? Oh, no, damn, I missed it.
This has been so much fun. Thank you, Peg, for setting this up, because guys, if you're watching this, I know you got value. You had fun. My face hurts from smiling so much like this. If you ever need to be motivated, go dig up his stuff, go find him on social media, go listen to something, go watch a YouTube video, because when you learn with this kind of energy, you can't help but get excited about it. You can't help but get reignited with that fire of why you started in the first place, where you're going, and what's possible. So thank you so much for taking some time away from your family, for us to have this for our audience, Frazer, because this was fantastic, like just amazing. Can't wait to have you back someday.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you so much, guys. I really look forward to seeing this go live as well. And yeah, I'm happy to always help no matter what.
Yeah, we're
Right
gonna put it on
on.
OnlyFans if that's okay.
Ah, nice. I've already got a subscription to you guys. It's fine.
Thank you so much, guys. Good night, everybody.
All right, see you
Thank
guys.
you.